ye baba be discuss topic bi a ehu hia pa ewo ya brabo mu ya sitene mu ewo ya relationship mu ya warie mu I mean ya sitene mu ade a ehu hia bebre I say nansen Ghana ha say nso topic a model wa son eto form a obehu say ade a ekoso bebre intino ye be discuss about abuse. You better discuss about abuse. See, you can say abuse, ne abuse. You say abuse, dear. You physical abuse. You psychological abuse. Your son will be so your friend emotional abuse. Into no, you better discuss sa enyema when you na. Into no, tune in men's station. Now before you better call your discussion also no. You better call Shadrach so. Let us be wo no more obe ready ede amaye enti Shadrach sa wotemenka.
Okay Joanna, said ya Joanna tray mu no sesia no eno ena yesi afin aba na edie eno na da apono so ena obia etwitwa na etutu ne sre ene abasa relationship abuse enti no my medical akan let us aba no mekan na yewia ya do nsem no mu esuko ye ne apostle ne counselor ye guest or ha obe cheche ye nsem no bebre first letter eba ye no me kind of brofum o se dear Adwenipa, I am 28 years old and married just last year. I have dated my husband for 4 years before we got married. He has a hot temper, but I didn't equate it to abuse in future. 1 year in marriage, my husband beats me for the slightest thing I do. I told my parents about it and they told me to pray. He will change. I told my pastor and he told me he will change and that I should stop doing the things I do that makes him angry. What should I do? We free oba ba kohona odiaba. We nso so second letter ebaye. Second letter ebaye no or say Yvonnes is now battling for her life. She was madly in love. In fact, obsessed with her baby daddy, who is corporal in the army. My first time meeting her was when I paid a visit to my aunt. From afar, I could hear them argue in their room. Well, who was I to ask what the issue was, or perhaps meddle in someone else's marital affair? The argument now turned into a bitter fell as both fled up. Whom do I call to help? Aunt isn't around. No neighbor was responding to the calls. Finally, they came out to display on the compound as the baby daddy tears Yvonne's top apart, pulls her braided hair and slaps her on the face and kicked her to the ground. Things were that grotty. Apparently, this has always been the routine. Neighbors around say they've witnessed how abusive the baby daddy is, but Yvonne always defends him anytime they try to report or ask her to leave the relationship. Hence, their pullback. They have vowed never to meddle in Yvonne's issue anymore because it looks like she still wouldn't listen or care for her life and her little daughters. The situation repeated itself today, and unfortunately, Yvonne suffered a twist on the neck during the fisticuff and has been rushed to the hospital. Inti let her be kind by abaya when you're 28 years if in fear eduenu watch na onu trema waware ni kuno afie twemu ya 2021 ya ye free mu ebayi na be man wedi kan ne natena mfie 9 dada na sa time no ananse sa ebre na obi be kan se ye twempna na se omutu aware ho anamo no niama nketinkiti bi a oye aye ebufuo ho niama ananse ate no na ono oba no wamfa ne se asem wenhunu se da ma bi no de insusuanso boni bi ebebre nti ono de ofi se dada efie asem ye bi nti on de ojan emane ekai na afe a oware no nya de kawa ne ehye ne nsa se kim aware no afe e na omo etwa afe enso so onhunu so be ma no sori a ochen ordinary brass band ebro anopa ewiane anwumre osini so ama sesi ano we prepare okokka kire na wofo nso so a na wofo se ebe ye tena ho wakwa akokka kire sofo nso se bo ho mpae na jai niama na wo ya wo de hye ukunu ebufuo no jai ebema ukunu ejai wo ebro no aso dia awofo ye kan ana se dia asofo yi kan no na oba abedi so yahwe makan ba akon nso so a eye obi nso so ono nso nikunu abo ne sa nikunu bu no nkrofo ka se onjai no nko na awofo ho a o se nikunu be sesa wansesa ma sisi ano ne komu ala na webu a yede na kwakoto ayaresabia sansem we nyina no ne fare bayankasa ne sen na ehimfa na ekọ akwa wie Jayana ma yehu hwan na ye ne eba betwetwe nkomo na yemfa nkomo na enhihye so
yo meda say anapay counselor na ye ne eba betwetwe nkomo yi ye friend no Apostle Thomas Kusi-Appiah a counsel ya ma akwaba
ye nua
ho so ayefe
also ho ayefe
anapay
eja ma show TV so an ne machia
oh I'm blushing. Okay, it's counselor from letter your brother Shadrach oken kan ye obetimi ama ye emu nchiremu kakra anase wadwen efa letter yo.
Okay, things me fan chia kase ma original TV ahwefo nyina Jana any Shadrach things say me say me tia na me raho and especially o should be free but not also for cancer yeah bro obi ba tie pa obi ba akwa ware na o hwe nyame adwono de hyehya ware na ntwa ware enyunya wode in fact we read Hebrew so say marriage is honorable among the father nyame ani so de anka ye enyunyam ade anka sombo pa ware na ade sombo ne adane bosen renda yeah bro obi na osofo aka kire o se jai de wo ye na odi hye na bufuo no at the source of the class I was at the source of the kind no jai de wo ye no and na measures here free because that is one of the major problem I want. The moment Albert will be abuse will be abro will be a dijuma be enye no quickly na ye blame nipa now say dey na wo ye yentia or yes sir now ade about come ataka chenkrofo ni suban bia wo de na die bia ewo mu yenti sunya de wa hanne suban bia ade enum entimi mpie da na no kenkan bible was ye de yesu sese nua so ohwe no eni mesi nyina wo so wantimi emi na no andome wo mo edi entia no me nyeden eninimu now suban no etese ne empanfo bu be say banche say you enyu eja ene kire sa na nipa suban tie esu ewo mu no eja ne kire enti when you are provoked etese de edija e kan no enti sa na mo no obi tu no eja ho ma eja se sa sunu ni mu a nipa no tu na mo ne said den so me ni mema bebre a obi say me yire ye na age me yire ye say ya o sati ye na essence e bro ni we ni nimtu o fa na atade gu no kon wa no ai den no wapie o kwotena ba bi ama na koma ton because ade a won nwene ho dane say me yi me sa abo ba wo hun say e ye nim guase ma me be ma say me tene me sa abo ba ne ntia so wo no enti wa ka no won tan say me oba pa de no matter what and regardless of the bibe no when you so better in this and say utimi tuo na mo tene won san then the first no so tell say e wo mu dada okay e ho na ma be brain timi sesa no instead of us to address our personality address our shortcoming we rather attack people when so nyamre so bible was see you when you simple na so kwa de wo you obi de training no matter na mo nipa na to I'm not here to justify e bi anamo ntu because sometimes you to tin adwene pa say what share oba na bema or titi nipa ebi tumi di nipa fat team but regardless of nipa ni suban no ade also tie as say de wo mu no na wo da na di obi e wonno monsa me no obi e wonno monsa ntini ma me afiri ni papa afiri won fa san kana no da say wo kono monsa no royas oh na nka me no monsa no na de me ma me firi no suban ni mu ni mu enti ade a me di kan kan say obi bia wo hwe yen say wo tu sa na mo ebi say wo bro wo yere say wo ye bibi ate ase de di kan subani wo mu na ehun eja ne kan na wa de wo tu anamo no so recognize it and start working on yourself what you are saying now mama nka bibi wo ha one of the things over the period me ta training the reason why people abuse according to Masmoro can say me was when purpose is not known abuse is inevitable ade ba ko amani petumi tu anamo ese niema It's when you don't know the purpose of a thing. You see, who try to say 3-1 or say, I did be who you be on the purpose. There's a purpose for everything under the sun. But unfortunately for us, there are many things around us we don't even know the purpose. Especially women. You know, I've had the opportunity to educate women and men. One thing most men are not aware, especially warrior. I tell people, the day you decided to marry, you decided to change your destiny. Because the whole concept of marriage laid down one, maybe require yanti as yet. Or baby, I want to see, I want what is called the woman Taubeti studying and what they say criminal. You've elected that woman into an office called the office of the wife. Just like you know, 2024, you was a lie. So about to be there, you could choose to be a friend president. You had leave the office of the president just 5 years ago. Now Papa be the Mahama, Meboa, on his excellency. So the care bar, na Nanado ever packing a car. Dear Nasa sign ne, so Nanado the care bar, Papa Mahama be packing a car, because one has now been elected into an office of the president. Their rules are Yashashatu. There are the opportunities there, and near mass of my Yashasha say, you do be rest office here, so open asem, and need ye the Bemanuni. And now we can't assume you or the curfew to man, you to me a man, executive powers. That office no, and the ma and ne papa, papa Nanado, Kemua, His Excellency Mahama, ebe packing a car. You be until even though I come all part that office leader, but they want to free that office no, 2 million a day, a free nation. Adia Yenimuni, Adabe Waru about say king, there's an officer would now occupy, which most men are not aware. Remember the brain, sir. So I tell people, marriage now who is say, oh, Tia Shianka, who said that won't call Warobano, who sound destiny. The same thing. Or Banso Mabema Warua or do office no quickly, make a come mad and because of abusing to know, mention a man at least Bema be Ocean Tiasi or baby or Warano, so dono, so no. So we are called Sobani Yamusheno, Namen Peno, and I'm a warrior, regardless of the situation, the circumstances are a lady to marriage. You've married the person into an office. Unfortunately for you and I, that office was not determined by me, but now can impeachment and I process a constitution. Nyamina na shisha dia tuo. Tieni pa. And into Nyamre kind the book of 1 Peter chapter 3 or make a very profound statement honum. And the member be a worship in 1 Peter chapter 3 verse number 7. Member ntie. Osbema wawaru oba sense of national office of the wife nintino ti the oho. Husband likewise dwell with them with understanding. Adi edi kan say bomodi so benya ntiase ama oba no. Which means oba na montuo nyina no don't even try to say oh be fight but rather look for what you call understanding. 2, the giving honor to the wife. We say a lot of teachings say to secondary product. I said me the one time so be preaching and okay and my macra yes your bomb ma warrior and ya warrior ntia kan mamu na say master go back to your Bible school what feel it. In fact, one of the things I know my child will make us say the reason why most people are even abusing their wife also is in wrong interpretation of scriptures. There are many counselors today, many pastors today who always almost Bible as and almost warrior say they start from Genesis chapter 2. Who yourself now will share me. Now we'll warrior say from Genesis chapter 2 go back to the Bible school. I'll come there because until our warrior say. But mean come into the same no since I saw the office of the wife in it no for need a mobile. Who say oba your mama remember be for need mama. Ye boom man say me na mabe warrior. Me na hey die ntire Nyankopon na asisha wari two Shadrach for say the moment I can but wari
yeah be me
and it's in the moment I can work for say baby sano ayo commando but more they say we need you are willing and ready ever ready to honor that woman. And when you talk of honor and you joke when you say about honor no anka say mu anya asem ketua which means say we need you so mbu be ma wo yere need you me kan sa oba say na ye amam to oba na oba de say kan me kasa kwankwan kasa Bible say hey unya sure oba kawa na oba be ye wo yere a but more they say we need you ebe ma no e di enti a very important statement here as the weaker verse very important and as being heirs together of the grace of life jana na you know e ma be brekrani one time me church of me ba to obo ntena wusu because we who say sound na semi ministry the moment I will worry over such a akutie and no project ready anymore ade bia opebia you can ask for God the man. The moment I will worry about sickness the woman is now a her to your grace of life. I don't be a nyamede money pedidie was as we no. Or you know your partner or co her spiritually. And I did be able to be saying Yankopon, so we don't know when Yadra was on can't. And I remember reading. To bones who had the ministry, so also for or you to me, or no one or born a bra, anointing here. The moment of our say, Kim, no, maybe as I take air quality or so bad about luck. No, your office not never say, or what the executive powers to change your destiny. And because we're by a part of the grace, which means like only Jayana might be bank accounts, now we are partners. You cannot just pick a bank check and sign without the other person's signature. Which means I give you an end and quote me Bisano and don't quote me beside you. The two of you must agree. Some margin share the over be said be an angel. So they train you. I bring you a back of Jerry and Musa Radi and here you know. No, I check where you're no, I check where you're dreaming. Does your wife agree that I is no? And in time, remember, or quiet dinner, you can say, Mira, I didn't miss you, man, quiet, or Bema quiet, say, Kim, any, or boss, who do you before, never before. A office, and you made your bash. A spiritual thing, I say. Or Bansu, I was Samba Bruno, say, what do I yes, because you need them, you don't understand certain things. What is, and then you put a say, Yamina say, that's when Yamisa will say, make sure you honor that wife, because if you don't honor her, aside her being part of your grace, no, there's another important thing. Sa oba na wako ware no time with person me kwani because enye me bet me person me give to journey also ba na wa apart from so ba your hen the second important thing is when pai bossa for ekita no that woman can close the heavens on your head and I me try to also that we can first chapter 3 me verse 7 the last is that your prayers may not be hindered. Every wife have the power to close the heavens on the husband. Now watch it. If people don't know, and to abandon who you sound body strong, no. What we hear then I was saying no.
Apostle, Mami Chawa no. Enra, me producer, a day flyer we sending me no. Me dey to social media, and the feedback that was coming in or were coming in, you know, it was just unbelievable. In some way I working you know, me they say onye counselor pe na osan suffer. Into which part of the Bible are your colleague men of God reading? Are your church brethren or sister churches reading? That is making them still advise people to live or stay in abusive relationship. Or let me add this: would you even agree? Say the church is a major contributory factor. Sorry, no, I can't title and I manipa bebre eti eye aware and say relationship a de a bro any etutrasem enam.
Of course, no be make and make as me ba honum no that wrong interpretation of scriptures have contributed to a lot of some of these problems I face and the. So for instance, America ye dia share trim say a macra de we call it me a madina na be mate ono aye ankonam ene ya me ball oba edne be kan e wona metra say who define and who church marriage now who share say free the book of John chapter 2 who of not of about to Bible school and there are many even many so-called counselors around for how church now will show more because some of them no I as to say no no a social knowledge no akwaje they don't have the spiritual knowledge. What I say me whatever I'm when you want to talk about a product the major thing you need is a manual. Do you phone we tini na nature only mo and so turn the brand new say or the manual shame utachoti we share with the only mo we didn't here didn't to buy hand fast manual do ha e wa pa me cry na me intend reading na me sure say because me so phone man what me reading here
at all who dey reading me share say
but the bibi wa ha manual na or this didn't to this shame or the needing out to product lesson or the reputation out to so say you no careful say techno phone. So we turn enye dwuma mo ase ne ose ya na ni madu ase to to ne bo ase tro sa ne mai nyina se ne be ya ebra wu read no ebe bo mo nya ntiase about the product na what benefit you every man will have just 3 parts you distribute product no ma ni actually they use is how to benefit and how we to destroy product no patch in part now so we to phone no so me phone enye water resistant you fan to shum now we could ja to shum say ya now also now so do you blame the manufacturer? But here's the point. The first person to show manual in your Bible that way, you know, I tell people it's not a religious book, it's a manual. Bible, the general Bible in a 3-part. But God describing his product in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. We know what the benefit, name of Bayabisha, and in the name of Bayabasel. The first person to manual nyankopon. Enti wa also be bibia about the nyame aye, especially marriage, which you know was not instituted by human beings but by God. Now also be yet you want to throw the manual away. That's a whole problem. And this unfortunate thing across the end, there are many pastors today who are talking about marriage, and yet they're using social and custom and we can mamre cultures. And
that's also the experience or not.
Yes, any mamre, and that is the beginning of our problems. I've seen a lot of men of God. We are trying to. Unfortunately for us, there's a year I say most pastors are the cause of marriage problems and because Shadrach, Medan, and Maba say be person worry. Marriage is between the two of you, Now me dey rabbit na me chain, and I me na me ready, and I me forgetting say, enya me na Shadrach be worry.
Enya mo asem na ye
ka. Enya Diana be worry me. Because Nipana is Gina Hono, he is totally different. What you are saying? Yeah. But quickly, me make this point because I Canada. Marriage at the Yami Bob Bema say king no worry in the book of Genesis chapter 1. Marriage was created right when God was creating. Friend saying Nipa. I mean, show be quickly. Now, why? Now, if you mean to us, it was Genesis chapter 1, verse number 27. Very important statement. And Adam, the problems, let's say, I tell pastors, the Bible is a key on its own. It opens itself. Most of the problem you face, most people use assumptions. The problem is that someone come to know, or can you say no about break more than arguing? Trust in your arguing, the choice. Bible now you key any scripture we read the is a key unto itself. It can open itself. So learn and study the Bible within itself. So Genesis chapter 1 verse 27, there's a mystery there. So God created man. Near about break. Near Shadrach and him. It's your member of man. Patron your member of the American answer. And Bible hey. God created man. The simple person, who is this man? And your American answer. Don't rush. Don't use assumptions. Read the Bible. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. It's man, no man is different for her. Him. Still, don't use your assumption. Who is this him? Check it. Male and female, he created them. And male and female. So man, according to you, when you see the word him alone, or you see he created them. We were not referred to man. That man was two in one. You see, the greatest way you count the male and female is talking about your spiritual and your psychological elements. It's Yame Kauba, Adrian, and home, no Bema, boom, no, the boss, Abema. That's why your marriage foundation understanding. You can't be worried anything. You mean you are gliding a sheer. Amos 3, how can two work together except they agree? Whenever there's no agreement, you don't have marriage.
So for Mammy means me, I made the same. Yes, shall say no. Yan shall say we did not start with social aspects of abuse. I mean, yan shall say what the air who if you now ya shall say when yan coupon if you shall say was sorry anymore. Would you also agree, or will you say the church is engaging in a game of hypocrisy? Sorry no nyatrum na shayema because asofo bebre ti ho no onim se aware a me ware Diana idie me deny mojedro me bu na nopa me bu na wia me bu na nwumre enso sofo ti ho no osuro se Bible say ni ayaka abomu no mo bia ntitim enti no osuro se asotwe a ewo saa eho no ebeba ne so enu nti na asofo bebre na akomo anu atum na o Diana enye hwe wo de people eni ni so na kotena enyame beye Shadrach be sisa na wasaba na abro no na okọ na sofo ti ho meken ono mo ne yire o one ne yire ti eme ye no aduane ma ni enu de ewo
eba yenim da bia
enu de ewo but osofo bo na me masem na aba na me de akwa ma sofo nim se obai ye bo no enso so osetena ho because osuro se ade echi a ye beka se sofo Thomas ene tu Diana for say Jai Shadrach. Is it not just a game of hypocrisy?
Yeah, you see, now I'm trying to about the same thing. Whether hypocrisy, whether it is lack of knowledge, it's all because we intimate the basic core in Yamia Junior or the shower. I just read the scripture right now. Now I'm going to elaborate quickly. Now I'm telling you, Yami Bawaren or between male and female. So the quick questions we also for now with this understanding now. Pachuti, anybody or member with Nimua or be raising any issue, no, you see, said fundamentally, no. or kasa are destroying male and female way, then there's no marriage. So for instance, you can be a male and they train everybody. Sometimes God created the male and female or put them together. That was the foundation of marriage. To call you sexual rapidity, the first one you're bema, and just so you male. For you to be a male, your spiritual and psychological, you set to understand conviction you must have. So until so be your santias, when you're in relationship, anything you must understand your husband. So to a CA, so you male at the channel, say I have an exclusive duty to only my wife. Then maybe you male, no, that's the first understanding. Which means from many pedia to be I am a ready. Two, me a father. You don't give birth to become a father. I understand you yourself. Father means source, which means I did be a free mover. It's my duty to protect and provide for it. It's an understanding. And if who saw then you're not a father. And if you're not a father, then you've broken your foundation as a male. You don't qualify to marry. 3, I'm a priest or software. Maybe you may be your software. Meaning you see me software didn't ask a man. And me are selling more bar. And if you meet any man, such a two way, now exhibiting malehood unqualified for marriage. The same way Diana to for her to qualify for marriage, she must be a female. Yes, she's a woman with all the physical qualities or no for way, but that's it. For her to qualify for marriage, she must be a female. Anything, she must also have that understanding, psychological understanding that I am a wife. Okay. Understanding I have an exclusive duty to only my husband. And tell me, or maybe see me that, maybe see me cheating on me. Me now break that foundation of wife and the husband. But if you're a husband, you will never cheat on your husband or wife. The Bible, 1 Corinthians chapter 7, it will say a husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife. Which one? The only authority was a wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband. To your wife, you have an exclusive duty to your husband. 2, she's a mother, which means she has that responsibility towards her home. And finally, she's a prophetess. And to obey also, marriage is not between a man and a woman. It's between a male and a female. So it is at that level, and about you to share, and not just your first time, man obey. That's over the years you're failing. So me come and say, yeah, so even the church, you would agree the church has failed because put to one who shares an average Christian on the street. Now we busana about marriage. Oh, nim said, may your bema me worry and may call worry. No, God did not create marriage between just a man and a woman. It's now yes Christ is here no Matthew chapter 19. For a for concerning she create man really go for a Matthew chapter 19, verse 3. The Pharisees also came to test him and saying to him, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for just any reason? Now they were looking for just a yes or no answer from Jesus. Now question is what to say so for you to even think of saying then there's a problem. Now to solve it, look for the problem. Now the question of abuse, the question of divorce, they are all sentenced. It's an evidence there's a problem somewhere. It's just like when you're headache. No one call hospital. A good doctor will not just tell you, Kofa Panadol, Kofa we know. No. That headache is a symptom of a problem in your body. So we'll find out when you're malaria now, to better correct test or when you be a fever now, when you're constipation now, to almost a question there, what you're like, and what you say, or the diagnosis, then air cross society by you know. Before somebody they were asking. So this question is about abuse, about divorce, all these problem, marital issues. There's a fundamental error. And over the years, so we are trying to, most of our counseling is trying to solve the symptoms. You are just solving a symptom. Go down there and solve the fundamental problem. What's the fundamental problem? So when they ask Jesus, can I beat my wife? Can I divorce my wife? For any reason, listen to the answer, verse 4. And he answered and said to them, have you not read that he who made them at the beginning made them male and female, not man and a woman? The main person said, tell me any problem about what you neck. So I will be awesome to it shows that when your father, no father, and a better son, I'll put the also protecting. It's your duty as a father to protect your wife, to protect your children, not to abuse them. So it's just a mere evidence saying you are not a father. And if you are not a father, male shaping will breaking it down. So I'm about my cheat on the so and I'll tell when your husband. But if your husband you have that understanding, you will never cheat on your wife.
Apostle, you can't abuse. They be a can say, Yanumu bebre, Yadinyamesum, ene asori ena ya chichire ye ho ye ne age Nyankopon aboso obi kan omom wo wiase mo sebe se ono odo nsa akoka ne say pa ofa ne bag a I'm gone enso so Diana fee say me na de bia me bebo mpaye wa sorry me na me lead prayer meeting me na me to nyom wa sorry me na me paper sofo efie enti no se nkrofo kra hwe me youth for nso so e leader ni me wo position wo mekuo me wo position wo aha enti se me kokojai aware a one looking at fingers that will be pointed at her because she is a Christian enti no ene obe tenemu sa me de ye nuaba osinachi Nigeria nyintuni emfaton because o hwe ni die yi a ne manu mpo echemu se na ehya ase ache ama omo papa mpo aka ache omo se obu oba a cancer ye de ma ne maami a enye ni kunu ene toye no ne mani chemu se omo papa na age ama papa ni twi car na omo timu a omo hu omo maami okwan ho a omo san ho omo manemfo. The abuse has been going on. This is someone who is singing her heart out, bringing heavens down to change people's abusive marriages. And she is still living in hers. Do you as a counselor, wow, do you subscribe to Live and Live? Free aware na ekunimo nenyankwa. First, would you, I want a yes, or do you subscribe to that?
Shadrach, Bible said that all these answers. God he divorced, but God accepts separation. Now watch it. Mami asemba the first time meeting, I'm not going to say Mami heaven cry won kobi.
I'm in heaven on
I shall cry won to me kobi. Say yampa, because say yampa say some ye can no cry. Then I'm sorry to tell viewers, I shall heaven cry won to me kobi. The gift of life, ne, anything used to be uje won kwa or pe won kwaje. At unse o man who up to true life, who come to suicide. Na uti enye na we ntimi ewu a ye be chew. Say ka wa nkwa. Ade nyame nso so ne se wo wo be true life. How much more so obi be kun na wo gina ho se kume. Na say wa mu of course. So a part of suicide na mama na ye no. If over the period a bro ye bu we ni we nyina you've seen it and you couldn't run for your life, then you are part of the suicide mission.
So you subscribe to Live and Live. And
you live and live. There's what to call separation. That doorway is there. That look in marriage. There's a foundation for marriage. So if then say Jayana Abame in chain, no or mommy references to issues, especially when it's an abuse, everything you're taking in life. The first thing a man of God you must do is to separate them. Diana, call mommy to now mommy chain, Papa, to not what started almost self counseling because knowledge.
Counselor, me no. Also sometimes no. Ebi wo ho no mo ana emma no ansana omo betu anamon kra po say bi omo kwa seek for help and as omo akọ counselor no. Most of the times na ya mema ni titiri no e breaki omo self esteem ne omo confidence. Enti no oba no ebedrum pempenso a obe decide say opese ofi aware num anase osiki help no that time na mentally she's not stable.
Very true, but you see and also cry no na me be say it's even start from the point say most pastors today your man marriage are a purpose. I'm sorry to tell you the way and the maybe who are as if say marriage is everything.
Yeah. It's a crown.
Yes.
It's never true. See, I tell people yes. I'm one pastor me chaba purpose man. Now when you understand purpose you know say purpose there's no bearing of marriage on purpose. There's no bearing of education. There's no bearing of money on your purpose. Which means, the immediate drill, Diana, the immediate show, whether you worry or don't worry, you must still live your purpose.
Yes.
Whether you must still live your purpose. Whether you must still live. Your purpose so unique, say education cannot destroy. One cross school that will make it great impact. The immediate dream war and only one of the fundamental errors and they be braining. In fact, we see an average woman on the street now. The whole life is centered on marriage. And you obi our 1 year ain't no. Of listen, the whole life has ended.
Yeah.
Forgetting said there's something in me and immediate dream. That's a wrong interpretation. Scriptures in that account. You're defining marriage as you said, and when the only thing that you make marriage a purpose. Then Jesus was the useless person on earth, so he didn't marry. His children. Defining purpose. Jesus was the most useless person. One woman. But aside one, to me, dear, to the sense or saying your squad say it is finished. which means only probably a wotie and TSN. Aside aware na waware, and aware person called ware no. Nyame di bibi adue wo mu. A odo pass as we say. This is one of the clear messages said mo bibia. So that when obi be kun, obi be sawa braba, who say whatever was asase tie ni pa asase me nyame di wabasu. You see, for instance, who said down here dem e jam say ade bi wo ha bia me yesho say orientative when you scarborough so no mko to be see here. Even as human beings, ade bi wo ha bia we bought it or they brought it here for a purpose, for a reason. Yeah. How much money Yankopon? Ecclesiastes 3:1 na can quote earlier. Was nyame was hot so ade bi obobo with a purpose. There's a reason to Jana was as we so. There's a reason to Shadrach was as we so. So don't reduce your life to marriage. Which is unfortunately an average woman on the street. And to be sure being the wire boss basa won't define and won't find anyone. All because now one year some employee.
But I think so we should also go back to the fundamentals.
Of course.
Say Ghana has say no or Africa no. You're busy your whole life any are they on marriage. What say oh your ba na unyi na drum pempen so bia our parents, that is Africa has some parents no started no more kangu wasum and na waso aware and na de na onware ye and tina aba like you are saying ya dream any ye need aso any ye bibia no aba ye say one warrior forgetting say like you are saying say your purpose no ewo ho and na warrior no so ejina baby but say na warrior na aba take our entire life. Into so your banner one warrior, even though now you are fulfilling your purpose, but one warrior na akwa baby and also so there now.
So yeah, we ought to have to that's understanding. Also it means the orientation, no, and also yes, over the period. Yeah, there are even churches today who now so by yourself for you must marry. You bet you because also worry. But you see, Mammy can be one time used to hear marriage seminar. Or church our yesterday church ye. Matthew chapter 8 we are not making ya. And then the disciple bakoba in church verse 10. His disciples said to him, if such is the case of the man with his wife, it is better not to marry. See, there are some disciples in Kanye. Was say pan our yet here. Some na make a tree. Ebi na make a so ban alcofa no. Or so safwan. Bible probate me sleep crying. Obviously, with that woman can shut your whole life down. Or trust Matthew chapter 19 verse 1. His disciples said, if this is case there, and then can win here, so I cry the Bible. That's why he used to cry. This verse 11, but he said to them, all cannot accept this saying, but only those to whom it has been given. For the Enochs, you can sir, or more. Yes, and I want to be buying that anyway. They are Enochs who were born thus from their mother's womb, and the Enochs who were made Enochs by men, and they are Enochs who have made themselves Enochs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He who is able to accept it, let him accept it. Until yes, you crumple can worry once and caveat to all. Marriage is never compulsory. But today, and let a sorry be a warrior compulsory. Sabra to me, Sabra not be a friend. Sabra say, who you know, and Jana to a book of friend, who you know now, Bama Benway, a warrior compulsory. Tameka said, marriage has no bearing on your purpose.
And say video be by social media. So for say, a man and worry any Omumrana, on Mompaye, and far a mom. Na omobeto santini we no de nsabo nso anima o de bo omoma so a go marry you are wasting my time, go marry you are wasting my time, you are being useless. Sao enti nipa saa no sofo na oftentimes pressure have become their role models. Right. So, catch you say ko worry you are wasting my time. They literally relegate you to the most
of them, like I said, don't even understand, like I said, marriage and the principles of marriage. And they don't know. Now tell people, marriage will take a lot of people to hell than we and cocaine.
But hope you.
Marriage will take a lot of people to hell than we and cocaine. The entire, Adebia wouldn't name a purpose, no. Oh, you know why you here. He's in Yankopon Hatastron. He's a God of principles. Yeah. Now let me make this even statement that most people don't know. Marriage is more important to God than you. And sometimes when I'm talking about marriage, you will never push anybody to marriage. No. You need to rather teach the person. Now, to make a decision. You don't make marriage compulsory. Why? Because only Panabra Bobo can come down because of marriage. So when Yantiasia and from Rawa, our reading boy in America, just chapter 1 review was he created the male and female. Don't forget before the class he created him in his image. So the male and female with the image of God, right? And it's Diana to the image of God. Not Shadrach, the image of God. They able together. Why image in the issue? So the first purpose of marriage is to show the full dimension of God. But an average marriage is show the full dimension of the devil. Because before crab baby shiabe was no matter. Which means what to nyame asma to watch me. The man will not say, don't even sleep with the woman. No, what they can crash shutting down. And to you nyame say chain after na worry. And instead of us to marry and show the full image of God, today we marry to show the full dimension of the devil in our lives. In churches today, obi kwagina wa ye bomb aye sha na warriors onyem. And we just saw them the Asian warriors. That's how the very crack at him. Very next, I will say, or by you, Shadrach, me who ne honda. Nyamini asafuma yine ni mo yam dance for.
And say, sorry, I walking. Then me catch you be. Nipa nse me kote wen. Because I know say vela and I say ntare aye she e de worry no.
What do you mean?
Interase
yes.
Into no sorry nka say me for white and I me pe pink and I say me pe green na makwa akoshe. Oh she veil. Sorry, I walk no. Cause me nya sofo de ba me kai say me twemu Bible ni mu ba bia o kire say emfa nyinsen emba me gina altar enim emeye mboso empire owie na nyinsen kwose anase okwo na say sebio kafra akala ni wu a ye be ka say onu na akwa akoku no. All these things are also coming back and then being interpreted in the form of abuse. Because said Diana Kafri, I shall say abuse no, it be a physical, it be a emotional, yes. It be a mental. But so far, Semba Konsusa Okayana, Echichimason Kakrano has to do with the separation and then the divorce bit. Because say me fa was me jina was and borrowing your ways no. Okay, say obi wo hwa and I say obia suban bia obeda ne di no enye nkwanhia ade etu mu it's innate it's personal disposition enti se mabu Diana ne mabu no china mabu na de chie na Apostle Thomas Kusi Diana ko o maame ho na Shadrach nso tina ofie na we should go through counsel yansa ni omonko kasa bioma ade na kire se ade ya yemi suban ade na kire se oba Mensa embono. Is Bible person. Against divorce? Very important. Why can't you just say, Diana?
Yeah, because Bible no one is solutions. Everything that happened on the solution. Who nimua? I said we told her. You required the hospital. You who the fear why they were. Patrolling. Now watch it. Adia ba kwa yentia shini. Shadrach Kusi, every human being operate on 3 levels. You are a spirit. And you can't tell that also Diana. You are a spirit. Whether you like it or yes, you are a spirit. You have a mind. So you are a spiritual being, you are a psychological being, and you live in an environment who are physical body and you interact with things. So you live in an environment, so you call this so a spiritual, you are a spiritual being, psychological being, sociological being, where people are. Every behavior is influenced by these 3 levels. It is to be obedient and DPR to serve the person. The first thing to diagnose it to know, the influences self-human is a spiritual. When you interact with spirit, and to be to call this can will be we no. I say baby, who's that now on cocoa to be still be so ashamed come, we are not free so. So na home here man. Because the spirit of oppression. Some be wait maybe room shabra. We better say can will be see we now when it's what to. Well, who dey why here. So behavior be obedient the DPR no. We nipa who nim dia. The first also who diagnose is a spiritual. 2 is a psychological understanding. You tell we be on personality. Say shabra to your choleric, the shabra temperament anyway. We are very impatient because I don't different be about respect. And to anything about can we feel so at this certain no. So then you are looking at psychological elements here. Then we have the sociological, we call psychological nature, environment. And so work around. We better not so here I don't feel no bitter. Hey, we don't want you for us. Me and my bonnet da. Environment now what information you no. It's impact also. Patrolling. And to be obedient and DB and whether we is influenced by 3 elements. And from my meeting, Shadrach, who does to baby Eddie. Never bomb my niece to see by the grace of God. I can correct you. You know why? Because if I discover, say, a spiritual, you will animal be true. If psychological, you dear when you and tell you who said, who saw Babua, Bono, and obi say when you know. And to know himself of a ready to control my wife is by slapping you. That's information. Not psychological. And to want to some do better than maybe when he wants to look. And can you do so better boy? But the dear warrior no so not office. What that told me to do cause of ampo. Me worry my wife, me name cause so that. Me start air rewind the adrenaline. The adrenaline when you who says how by me to put anyhow no. I feel you more another higher knowledge to now begin to appreciate the woman and say, hey, Say woman na otu ho no me ma kraman be ya me gere no wa be npa fofo so knowledge
so me twa no me producer say ye bre no aye be na me ma osima na fa nsema ya kan nyina no sisi a obo no tofa ne fa pempa any sense
na me what questions bebre me pesa ka me
bisa yes emefa wo ya say
aha
yeah part 2
producer say me bisa baako me pesanka odi yen efemu forms of abuse no o say yes start na ye ka say your physical abuse emotional abuse psychological abuse obi wo ho no mu a o hwe yen ono no de onima na the physical abuse enti pese we explaining the forms of abuse
so and travel now I do so we say cross say you say chima we need to explain a lot of so for now
we dey patch up
ni bia wotu obi an e abuse about experience aside the physical which we know oba bi o ye melancholy for instance no omno mo dwene enti unya tien kakra bi say na emotionally no wo bu no down enti o ware obi say cholerica she is going to go through a lot of emotional abuse because cholerica can be impatient unya ne kan say no aten nipa ko betime tien wo nipa mu and such a woman for the rest of her life is going to go through emotional abuse because obi feel say ben ma worry ni obetia no. Are you getting it? Yeah. So there are most women today who are going through emotional abuse. And unfortunately for them, their husband don't even know they are taking them through that. Because any personality. There's one thing people don't know. You can't change people's personality. You can change people's mindset. It's all about knowledge, you know. So I can even look at your husband and look at you and tell the abuse that we go through. Most women today are going through that. And unfortunately for them, their husband don't even know they are putting them through. On top of that, you say, look, being a choleric, this is who you are. You can shout, you can anyhow. But Obana worry on so a sound and any problem. Sound they short movement, and melancholy for training, they are very thoughtful. Obetia who the whole day, the whole year. At some back better. And to this urbanity, be careful see me if you are no day. Ever. Because anywhere they feel no piano, you are going to abuse her. If it's I don't know, and you can change someone. Are you getting it? So most women today are going to the Bible, as you said, no, because you no money into no, or find say normal, but you can bring your self-esteem down. And my because Felicia, me decree for my husband. Yesterday I was having a comment, no be account, I made a channel. So we are now we are melancholic, now we are sanguine. Sound before me pachoka. Here you be able to this here. Collect phone pachoka. What tell crown? Now you know say, my that's how we do it. They can't apologize. Common apology from him will never come. So you see, when you want to interpret some of these things, no, you need to break a whole levels down. And to your banner with you based on even temperament, no, then you know. So one record, and melancholy, I tell them they are candidate for depression. Because more general, and addicted to be original, and when it's more, and what should come to about them. Yes, and so most women are struggling because of husband and wife. Any more such a banner claim him, and when him look so.
Yeah, that's it, baby. I'm say, no, I a bit. Since now you can't, no. Now a question say the baby were hot, but as a time, no, I hear a yint no, as I say, ye DC has say, now patrol counselor and apostle. Obit me the number so atuja amaye. Okay, we your chef now show me about the number bit me friend 0249 450 772 0249 450 772. Apostle Thomas Kusi-Appiah, counselor papa me sure say nsema waka no ye nyina ya educate ye ho anapai me sure say emrepem no ye besan invite counselor na wasan ne yen aba abetwetwe nkomo.